How you going, everybody? Raff from Two Dudes Talk Music here, and I am here to give you guys the rundown of everything that happened at Nowhere Fest 2025. Now, I will start by saying that this show was subject to a lot of issues in the lead up, and even a lot of issues on the day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus first on the bands throughout the day. There's quite a few of them, so I'm going to try and spend a little bit on each of the bands to talk to you guys about. And then at the end, I'm going to address the issues that I felt were affecting the day, and I'm going to read a statement from the organizer about everything that kind of happened on the day, just in terms of to try and be fair about everything. But I do want to stress that despite the various issues, which I will address later in the video, that I still had a pretty good time and there was lots of cool bands on. So we're going to dive right in because we've got a lot of bands to cover today. So first up is Corpsewagon. Now, much like a lot of the bands on this bill, I'd never heard of them before. I'd never seen them before. Corpsewagon, I kind of feel like they were all sort of had different vibes about the band. Like, I don't know, maybe it's part of their shtick that everyone's kind of got a different look and a different thing. But like, there was one dude in like a lab coat. There was one dude who looked like he was straight out of the Swiss Alps. There was like, you know, the drummer looked like he was ready to just go out and like jump on his surfboard or something. Like, I don't know. It was a very not cohesive visual look. I did like the bass player playing an upright electric bass. I thought that was a pretty nice take. I'll have to actually check them out a bit more to see if that really means much of anything in the grander scheme. But you know, I had a bit of fun. I had some fun watching them. You know, I just think, look, it's first band on a long day. Everyone's still kind of getting into the swing of things. So, you know, it was fun. It was interesting. I don't know if they really grabbed me all that much, but you know, I might check a bit more of these guys out and see what they've got to offer there. Next up was Warpseer. Now, this is a band that I'm very interested to watch. Warpseer, I think, they all seem to be like on the younger side, all of the members in the band. But these guys, like a black metal band, I feel like, I mean, I love the fact that they had, you know, a bit of a vibe going on visually. It looked like, I will say, it seemed like different types of black metal vibes that they had going on with their looks. So I don't know, maybe that's something to look at. Look, I mean, I might talk about this. I know some people say, shut up, it's about the music. What does it matter? When you're at a live show, visual presentation matters. You know, look, black metal band playing fairly early in the day. There was still a lot of sunlight coming in. So I feel like maybe if they were a bit later in the evening with, you know, the light show would have been more effective. That also might have helped. But musically, I really like what they're about. I still think they are dialing in a few things. I'm not sure how long they've been a band, but I definitely think that Warpseer is a band that has a lot of potential. They are almost certainly going to be, if they keep it together and they continue working at everything and honing their craft, tightening things up, I really feel like they've got a shot at being a notable band in the Queensland and the Aussie metal scene. There's just something about what they're doing. Like, even if they're not quite there yet, I can see what they're shooting for, and I like what they're shooting for. So Warpseer is absolutely someone that you want to pay attention to. I will, by the way, have links to all of the bands that I'm talking about today down in the description. So if any of them take your fancy or you want to go and check any of them out, they will be right down there for you to look at. But yeah, like Warpseer, absolutely go and check them out. Like, and go and see them if you get a chance. I'm going to have to make a point of going out to see them again somewhere and see if the different setting, slightly less chaotic setting, makes a bit of a difference on anything. But yeah, I genuinely think this is a band that's got a lot of potential, and I'm keen to see what they can do. Next, we have OCD Band. Now, these guys seem like a bunch of dudes who have been doing it for a while now. They were pretty tight with their performance. They seem to kind of have their playing together, which was nice. By this time of the day, we're a few bands in, more people are kind of starting to arrive and filter in, which is great to see. Lots of people coming out early to support such a long day of music. But yeah, OCD, they were really solid. Their bass player was like going absolutely, like his playing was pretty hectic. He was doing lots and lots of shit there. I just wish I'd got a bit more of a performance. Like a lot of the band didn't really seem like they were engaged. It just kind of felt like maybe I was watching a rehearsal almost more than an actual show. And again, like I go to a performance to see a performance. That's what I want, and that's what. I'm obviously not speaking for everybody, but I feel like that's what you go to a live performance for. You go to the live show because you want to see the performance. Otherwise, you'll sit at home and play the stuff. So, OCD Band, they were functionally good. They were there, but I just wish I'd gotten a bit more of an actual performance from them. But I guess everyone's got their own vibe. So that's about all I can say for them, really. They were kind of enjoyable. I don't know if they're the kind of thing I would listen to normally, but hey, look, there's videos playing. You'll get a sense of what they're about. If you want to check out more, obviously, you can go and do that. But yeah, that was those guys. Next up is Gralloch, and now we are starting to get to the point of the day where things are a bit more cohesive across the board. As I said, lots of people starting to arrive by now, and Gralloch was they had their stuff a bit more together, kind of like the like black metal kind of thing. They had their things a little bit more together than Warpseer, and again, that's not a dig at Warpseer. That's just again going back to they seem a bit sort of new to things with it. But yeah, Gralloch was much more together. They were quite tight, a really tight performance, which is good to see. They had a fairly good visual thing going on, a bit more performative. I can tell the singer wanted to be doing a bit more. It was just space was kind of limited there as well. But great makeup job with the singer there, like really nice fine detail on that. And yeah, musically, like really, really cool. I dig what these guys had going on. The clean singing on it was an interesting touch. I know normally a lot of black metal is like just all harsh vocals, but this had a bit more of some clean vocals here and there, which was nice. It was a bit different to what you would normally expect. So yeah, well worth checking out. I am going to have to definitely check out a bit more from these guys because I want to see, I just want to get around them a little bit more and see what they've got going on there. Now we have Akrasia. I'm not entirely sure how that one's pronounced, but these guys came all the way from Northern Territory to play this one. I like the music that they were playing. I think, I don't know, I mean, you watch the footage for yourself when that one's up. I don't know if it was an issue with being able to hear one another or not. I feel like they could have been tighter. It was, yeah, I just get the sense, maybe it was, a combination of factors. Again, I'm not entirely sure. I just feel like they were looser than they could have been. A lot of looking at the hands as well from these guys, which, I mean, look, I don't know how long they've been a thing. I don't know how long they've been playing for. One thing that I think is important is learning to be able to play what you're playing and perform without really looking at your hands all that much. I know you might have to from time to time, especially for more complex pieces, but I don't know what to tell you, like learn to play as much as you can without looking at your hands, because I think most people don't want to watch a show where the performers are just kind of like this the whole time. You want to be engaging with the audience and watching and seeing what the audience is doing there. So maybe it was just an off night for them. I'm not 100% sure about that. I only have the experience of that one show. So yeah, that's Akrasia. I think I might need to seek out a bit more from them just to see what they're normally like, and if it was maybe, like I said, maybe just an off show for them. But yeah, that's those guys. Then we got to Khyber Pass. Now, Khyber Pass, I had quite a bit of fun with this lot. It was really tight, like super, super tight thrash, big sound for a three-piece. I definitely want to see more from these guys. I'm definitely going to try and catch them again. The drumming was superb, super, super tight. Again, from, the guitarist and the bass player, a little bit more watching the hands than I like, but they... they were entertaining. They were, going full force on it, which is always nice to see. I really dig what they were doing musically, so I'm going to be checking some more out from Khyber Pass. But good all-round package. I mean, nothing crazy spectacular, nothing's crazy like top tier necessarily, but good enough that I definitely want to check them out a bit more and, see what else they got going on. Now we get to the point where the day really started to get some fucking steam behind it. Now we get to T-Rex Autopsy. Now, T-Rex Autopsy came up from New South Wales to play this show, and let me tell you, you will be able to tell from when this fucking video plays just how much more energetic they were than all of the bands preceding them on the day. Like, T-Rex Autopsy just came in and absolutely blew the fucking doors off. If there was anyone that was still sleeping, T-Rex Autopsy woke them the fuck up. These guys came in, they were super tight, very, very energetic with their performance, which you love to see. Ross, one of the guitarists, was even getting out in the crowd a bit to try and engage people. Very, very visually active, very performative on stage, which is exactly what I want out of my live shows. I want to see some energy. So these guys did absolutely great work. It was awesome to finally see them in person too. As you may know, we've interviewed them on the podcast a couple of times. But this was my first time seeing them live, and I was not disappointed. They really, really brought the thunder with it. So great work from the boys in T-Rex Autopsy. You should definitely go and check them out. This was really where I felt the day started to pick up in terms of the performances from the bands. So, yeah, big shout out, big love to the boys in T-Rex Autopsy. Love your work. Cannot wait till you're up here again. Loom of Time was next up. These guys are also from New South Wales, and it's just crazy. Like I would have thought, look, now I know I've been out of the Sydney music scene for a few years now, given that I moved up to Brisbane in 5 years ago. But there were so many bands so many people that I just had never seen or heard of before, that just seemed like they'd been around for quite a while. So it just goes to show you the depth of some of these, some of what's happening in these music scenes there. But look, Loom of Time, they had a nice, cohesive presentation. They were all in sort of like, business type attire with the sleeves rolled up, doing that sort of vibe, which I get. I've done that before, with Tensions Arise. I was doing that back in the day. So, and of course, we're not the first bands to do it. Lots of bands have done that before. So, that was nice to see. They had a real look going on about them, which was awesome. Musically, they were really tight. I like the sound they were going for, and the sound they had going on there. This was, I think, a case where it doesn't, it never gets picked up great on phone speakers anyway, phone microphones anyway. But things are a lot better than they used to be. And I mean, look, the mixes through the day were kind of rough in general. So that, I think, really hurt these guys, unfortunately. But, I like what they were doing. I'm definitely going to be checking more out from Loom of Time. Hopefully we can even get them on the podcast for a chat, because I really think these guys have something pretty cool going on. Again, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the constant hand watching from some members of the band, but overall, really, really good, well worth checking out. Go and give them a look. Loom of Time. Now we get to Therein, and this one kind of took me by surprise. I saw him setting up, and I wasn't quite sure what I was going to be getting. Very pleasantly surprised, though. Kind of like that thrashy prog kind of element there. The bass player was just going absolutely fucking bonkers, which I love. Great work there from their bass player. But yeah, overall, these guys were quite tight, despite playing some somewhat complex material. So that was really, really fun to see. I love, like I said, the bass player was really rocking out pretty hard. It would have been nice to see some of the other members doing the same to match that energy. But, they did a really, really good job. I'm absolutely going to be checking out more from Therein. Well worth your time. Go give them a look.
Anyway, this next song is called...
308 was up next, and let me tell you, these guys had the crowd in the palm of their hand. They really, really did. There was lots of people crowded into that small space there to try and catch these guys, and look, they were, they had the crowd moving, they had the crowd engaged, they were clearly, I mean, again, I feel like 308's maybe been around for a while, and they've got a bit of a following. Again, I've not heard of them, but I definitely need to make that change. I need to get in and check out their stuff, because I was super, super impressed. Very entertaining, very engaging live show. The singer was interacting with the crowd a fair bit. Very tight, very heavy, just everything that you want. Everything that you want from a metal band and everything that you want from a live show. I think they did a really, really good job. And I'm absolutely going to be diving in and checking them out more. Hopefully we can get them on the podcast and have a good old chinwag about everything. Then we get to Beast Machine, and let me tell you, this was a two-piece. It did not feel like it was just a two-piece. The energy and intensity that these guys brought was pretty fucking wild. Super, super tight. Really impressive work from both of the dudes involved. The drummer was like an absolute beast on that kit, was playing all sorts of cool shit. And the guitars were like, the guitarist and vocalist was really, really intense, which I liked. Great work all around. It's kind of funny. I don't know what it is. There's another band that we saw last year at Metal to the Max called Hell Machine, I think, and that's just a bass player and a drummer. So I'm like, maybe they could join forces and become the Hell Beast Machine or something like that. I don't know, but Beast Machine, super, super intense. Really liked what they were bringing to the table. They put on a great show. Well worth your time. Go and check them out. Show them some love. Tell them that the Two Dudes Talk Music sent you, because I need to hear more from these guys. Now, there was a little bit of a hiccup at this point. Slightly earlier in the day, Project Ultimate Satan from the ACT had, unfortunately, their drummer had some issues, had to go to the hospital, so they didn't end up getting to play, which is really unfortunate. I was hoping to catch them. But moved on then to Bong Coffin, who had come across from South Australia, and I was super, super keen to check these guys out. I love a little bit of the old stoner metal on the side there. And they did really, really good. It was a great job from these guys. Musically, they were quite tight. They were everything that I wanted from them. Visual presentation was a little bit odd, because you had like the two, like the guitarist and the bass player were in sort of almost like, not, I wouldn't say necessarily religious robes, but they were in sort of like these long cloaks, or like these, cloak-looking things, to sort of give a bit of that energy to the proceedings. But then the drummer and the singer were just in like pants and t-shirts, so that didn't quite fit there. I don't know what happened. Maybe they were supposed to be wearing stuff, but something happened to it. I have no idea. Musically they were really, really good. They were really tight. I really dug what they brought to the table. So definitely check out more from Bong Coffin. They are a band that is absolutely killing it, and they're doing great stuff. Now, Serpentum. This was some good shit. This was some good shit. There was such a crowd for these guys. They were right into it. Great presentation, really tight performance. Loved everything that they had going on. Serpentum is one of these bands that I'm pretty sure I've heard the name of, but I haven't had the chance to check out before. So I'm really glad that I got to see them here. Just overall great performance. The whole package, really, really are the whole package. Well worth your time. Well worth going to check out. Look, go and follow them on the socials. Go out to their shows. This is a band that is clearly, they know what they're doing. They've got their shit together. They've got their act together. When I say the whole package, I mean it. They are the whole package. They're really good. They know their stuff. Go and check them out. Oceans and Omens was next up. Now, I know these guys came a long way. They are from Western Australia. They came a long, long way for this show. I'm not sure what kind of particular issues or challenges they faced as a part of that. At first I wasn't quite sure. I don't know if it was an issue, something with them not being able to hear themselves or what was going on. Something just felt off about the show, about their set. Excuse me. And eventually they kind of got there. They kind of got in their groove, which was good to see. I think, I don't know about having the vocalist stand in front of the front of house PA speakers. That's going to create a lot of issues for the sound guy. I think there was some feedback issues because of that during the set. But for the most part, they had good stuff. They were clearly trying to put on a show, which was important to me. Even if they haven't, I don't know. It was weird. The vibe was weird with these guys. I'm not entirely sure what it was or the reason why. But I could tell that they were doing the best that they could under the circumstances, which was, they were, I think I need to see more from them. I want to check out some of their if they've got any live videos out there, and check out some of their music and maybe give them another shot if they're ever over here again, and see if maybe this was just a once off. I don't know. I feel like I just get the vibe that maybe normally they're a bit more engaging than what they presented on the day. But are you a fan of these guys? Do you know them? Tell me if I'm right or wrong on this one. I don't know. I got a weird vibe about it. Next is Miruthan from New South Wales. And, if you know these guys, you know that they do a great, great job. Obviously we've had them on the podcast previously, and we've done a reaction video to their stuff. So we're already a little bit familiar with them, but this was my first time actually seeing them live. And boy, do they bring it. Absolutely. Just the look, the sound, the performance, the energy that they bring, even under the challenging circumstances of an event like this one. They really, really gave it everything that they had, which was awesome. I could not be happier to finally get the chance to see them. And they put on a great show. I had a bit of a chat to a couple of them afterwards, scooped up a t-shirt and everything. So just well worth your time. If you're not familiar with them, if you like black metal and you're not familiar with Miruthan, get on it, because they put in the work and they do everything that they can to make the show as impressive as it can be. So love those guys. Great to see them, as I said, and great to finally meet some of them in person. And go and check them out. Then we had Plague Dweller, also from New South Wales, another band that I've heard the name of but hadn't had the chance to see previously. Finally got to see them. Musically, they were quite good. They were pretty tight. I think the drummer might have lost his, either like flubbed or lost his place once or twice, but it happens to everyone sometimes. So, that is what it is. The singer was really working, trying to get the crowd engaged and get that kind of stuff happening. I think the rest of the band, I don't know. It was a lot of hand watching, which, it's a bugbear of mine. I think, I don't want to go to a show and watch people rehearse and watch their hands. I want to see people perform. And if you're having to stay still and watch your hands for 3/4 of the set, just I don't know, either practice more to not need to do that, or write stuff that is a bit simpler so that you don't need to do that. That's just my take. I know that's probably going to piss some people off saying that. That's just my thoughts on it in general, and I'm not saying that to shit on the band, specifically or directly or anything like that. I'm commenting on what I experienced on the day is all. But look, good work from these guys all around. I would have liked to see a bit more performance out of them rather than just the singer, but pretty good job overall. Then we had Glora. Now, if you've been on the channel for a while, you know that we interviewed these guys a few weeks ago in the run-up to the festival. This was kind of a new lineup. I think they were debuting, if I recall correctly. So it's a bit of a new space for these guys. I think there might have been a couple of hiccups from what I could tell, but overall, they did a pretty solid job. They were fairly tight. The crowd was there for them. The crowd had come out to see these guys, which was really awesome. I don't know what more I can say really. Like if you want to see more about Glora, we've got the episodes back there to go and check out for sure. But really enjoyable. Great to see them live. We'll definitely be getting along to a bit more. Hopefully we can have them back on the channel soon and have a bit more of a chat. Then we come to Dark Order, again from New South Wales. And again, we interviewed him on the channel not all that long ago. Look, great to meet these guys in person. Great to see the live show from them. Great performance. Really tight, really entertaining. Very old school thrash, which is what you want to see. I would have liked a bit more performance in their performance. Again, not to be nitpicky, but hey, we got to talk about the good and the bad for these things. They put in the work for it, and there's not much to say really. That was a good, solid, old school thrash performance. Go and check them out. Again, we'll have links for everything down there, so you can go and check out all of the bands at your leisure. But yeah, get along to a Dark Order show soon, Sam. I'm keen for that new album that they've been working on. And finally, we have Darklore. Now, not my first time seeing Darklore. I have seen these guys before. I performed on the same bill as them. And I feel like they were very hampered. These guys were hampered a lot more than most by the venue and the technical issues that were on display. For one reason or another, they couldn't have their backing tracks. I don't know if that was a problem with the PA system that couldn't be worked out, but it was basically they didn't have time. There wasn't time to be, faffing about trying to fix things like that. So they just kind of had to go without their backing tracks, which obviously hurt things. If you've seen Darklore before, you know that they're very, very performative in terms of like props being brought on and off stage and people in costumes coming on and off stage and all that sort of thing. And the layout of the venue and the size of the venue and how tightly packed everything was just, I think, really hampered their ability to do their normal full show. And so that was a shame. Like I've seen, look, they did the best under the circumstances, absolutely, and I commend them for that. I have a lot of respect for those guys. I just think they were kind of let down by other factors that hampered their ability to put on the best show, the level of show that they normally do. But they, as I said, they did the absolute best they could under the circumstances. It was a little bit disappointing for the end of that to kind of be the end of the night, which I'll address shortly. But what can I say? Like I love what they're doing with Darklore. I love those guys. Go and check them out. Go and show them some love, because this show was absolutely not their up to the normal standard that they can put on. I'm sure they would probably agree with me about that. But I don't think any of that was their fault. They were doing the best they could under the circumstances. So. With all of the bands out of the way, we get to the various issues. Now, I'm going to talk to you guys about my experience of the show and the issues that they were facing and my understanding of it. And then I am going to be reading a statement from Nowhere Productions that they've put out about it to address a lot of the issues. Now, this show was beset by multiple issues even before the doors opened on the day. They had stuffed around with the venue change. They had the issue of the originally planned headliner not being able to make the show due to visa issues. And then there was a number of issues on the day. So spaces that were supposed to be available for people were not available. There was delays through the morning of getting everything ready. So unfortunately things started late. While some bands were doing the right thing and cutting some songs off of their set to try and get things back on track, unfortunately things that didn't, somehow things ended up running very late still. And unfortunately the band that had stepped up to try and to fill in the headline slot, Autopsy from New South Wales, were not able to play due to a hard noise cutoff curfew. That's what I'm looking for. Noise curfew on the venue. This venue, Amore Events, it's normally like a wedding reception place. It's not normally somewhere that hosts live music of this nature. They had medium-rise apartment buildings on at least two sides. So there was noise complaints. There was noise level issues throughout the day. Noise of people hanging around outside, coming and going, etc. That caused some issues for some of the neighbors, and so they've had to be very, very careful not to get another noise complaint, or the event would have been shut down basically. So there was a lot of stuff going on. Even for art, they even impacted us. Like, we were supposed to be interviewing a lot of the bands, but the space that we were supposed to have available to use was not available, and my setup wasn't going to be able to function with the space that we had to use in lieu of that. So unfortunately, that's why this video is not quite what we had expected or planned for it to be. But I will give a lot of credit to Amy and Nowhere Productions for trying to do their best through a bunch of shitty circumstances. I feel really, really bad that Autopsy came all the way from New South Wales, spent all of that money and time and effort, and then just didn't get to play at all. I hope that they are being somewhat compensated for that in some form or fashion. But I'm going to read you the statement that Nowhere Productions has put out about the event, and then I will take it home. So I'll try and see if I can put this statement up on the screen in some capacity while I'm talking about this. But basically what they've said is, it's been a couple of days, I'll quote, and then I'll end quote later on. It's been a couple of days since Nowhere Festival 2025, and we need to address a few things. First of all, thank you to everyone who came out, our sponsors, Schema Collective, Blackened Records, Wild Seder, and Two Dudes Talk Music, and to all the volunteers who ran stages, worked the door, helped us set up and pack down, and generally made sure the event went ahead. To both our sound engineers doing difficult jobs in less than ideal conditions, and to Valley Death on 4ZZZ for giving airtime to as many of the bands as you did. In the end, this is an event run by the community for the community. We're passionate about Australian heavy music, and we want you to be passionate. We're passionate about Australian heavy music, and we want to be passionate about it as well. We're incredibly grateful for all the messages of support we received in the last 24 hours. You guys are why we do this. I do need to acknowledge, however, that this year did not meet the high standards we set for ourselves. As the promoter, in the end, the blame for that falls on me, and I'm deeply sorry for anyone who did not have the day we wanted you to have. The change in complexity from running out of venues with in-house sound and lighting to needing to provide and run our own gear was greater than we expected and caused delays and other issues throughout the day. This was compounded by noise complaints from nearby residents, requiring us to lower the volume levels on both stages throughout the day to avoid the event being shut down by police. The noise restrictions were not communicated by the venue in the lead up to the event, and both sound engineers did what we felt we needed to do to keep the event running.
The lack of food on the day also caught us completely by surprise, as we had been shown the menu that the venue had put together the day before the event and had been promised repeatedly in the lead up that the kitchen would be open for food throughout the day. The choices available to us in venues were limited when our original site became unavailable due to renovations. However, it became very clear on Saturday that Amore, while a fantastic event space, is not suitable for this type of event, and we will not be holding the festival there in future. We started late, we ran late, we had to reduce set times, and we were still unable to have Anton Amasia play. This was unacceptable, and changes are being made within Nowhere to ensure this does not happen again. Your complaints are being heard and taken very seriously, and I would like to thank you all for letting us know the ways that we need to do better. Given everything that happened both in the lead up to this event and on the day itself, we are very seriously reconsidering whether we will continue to run the festival in future years, and if we do, what that event will look like. End quote. So, bit of an explanation there, and to help with the understanding of what went awry on the day. I have seen some other comments made in response to other posts and replies to comments on different things as well. But look, I have to commend Amy and the whole team at Nowhere Productions for taking accountability. I do know that some of the stuff that happened on the day wasn't necessarily on them, but there's a key difference between it being their fault and being their responsibility. And the fact that they're taking accountability shows a lot of integrity, and I have a lot of respect for that. So I'm glad to see that they are trying to do what they can do to improve things and avoid some of these issues being encountered in future. But hey, there you go. Look, it's a shame that the event didn't end up being as good as what everyone had hoped and planned for. As we've discussed, there was numerous issues that impacted it and led to that. Something that I do want to address on a personal note is thank you to all of the bands who came up and were like, hey, you're from the podcast, are we going to get it? Do we still want to chat? Like, what's the story? Thank you to the bands for understanding that. I very, very much appreciate that. Please, if you're playing there on the day, reach out to us. We will do an interview. We'll get you on the podcast. We will have a good chat to you and get your stuff out there. And one thing that I think that I want to touch on is some bands did cut their sets short. Others did not. Having played in bands, I fully understand not being happy about having to cut your set short. But you just have to fucking do it. It's as simple as that. If there are issues with an event on the day, it doesn't matter if they're not your fault. It doesn't matter if you showed up on time to do what you were supposed to do. The brief changes when things like this happen. And it is your job to roll with the punches. Do you have to be happy about it? No. You can be not happy about it. That's fine. But you have to do what you have to do to make the event run properly, out of respect for the punters and out of respect for the people in other bands. Bands who did not cut their set short when they were supposed to, have a look at yourselves. I'm sorry, pull your head out your ass. No one's bigger than the event when it comes to this sort of stuff. Do what you need to do. Cut a song off. It's that simple. If you can't work out how to do it, then go back to the drawing board and figure your shit out. I don't have time for people that don't want to do what they need to do in circumstances like this. I will also raise the point that one of the other key issues that caused the day to get as far behind as it did is it was meant to be 30-minute set from each band. As soon as, obviously then got cut short, but as soon as one band finished, the next band was supposed to start. Main stage band played, they finished, side stage band was supposed to start immediately. Side stage band finishes, main stage band was supposed to start immediately. Number one, if you were taking forever to get your shit off stage, again, sort your shit out. One of the key factors, though, that I felt caused the day to run as late as it did was the side stage, whoever was running sound on the side stage, it seemed like they were not doing any line checking or anything prior to, like, while the main stage band was playing. So main stage band would finish, then the side stage band would start line checking and doing whatever, or the sound guy would then get the band to line check and do some twiddling and fucking around and everything, which would take 10, 15 minutes, which that's when you're on that tight of a schedule is just not acceptable. I'm sorry, it's not. Oh, we don't want to disturb the other bands while they're playing. We don't want to make too much more noise. I'm sorry, you need to do it. In circumstances like that, when you're on such a tight schedule, do your fucking job. Line check while the other bands are playing. And start so that your band can start when they're supposed to start. To me, that was one of the biggest factors around timing on the day. I feel if that hadn't happened, almost everything else could have worked out. So that's my 2 cents on it. I as I said, some of my comments during this video may upset some people, may upset some of the bands even. And if it is cool, I'm happy for you to reach out and we can have a chat. I'm not sort of trying to take personal digs at anybody. I don't know what extenuating factors there were for some people, and I'm happy to discuss those, but this is, again, my experience on the day. So that's, I know this has been a rather long video. Thank you very much for sticking with it. But that was Nowhere Fest 2025. I do hope that they can bring it back around and run it again in future, because I think there's, events like this are super important and they really can bring the community together. They can help bands make a lot of connections. So I hope, Amy and Nowhere Productions, I really, really hope you guys can run it again in future. I'd even love to be involved in some capacity if that's an option at all. But thank you very, very much to all the bands who played. Thank you to Amy and the whole crew at Nowhere Productions for putting the event on. Thank you to all the punters who came out and had a good time. Thank you to everyone who came up and said hello. You guys are amazing. I really, really appreciate you. And thank you, everybody, for watching so far. Take care of yourselves and your mates. Stay cool, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We really hope you had a good time. If you did, please consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell down there. It helps the channel grow. We are still a fairly young channel and we like to try and grow our audience all over the world. We do also, for those of you who are interested, have a Patreon. It's just a couple of bucks a month. At the moment, you get all the videos early and ad-free, but we are working on ways to increase the value of that and make it a bit more enticing. So don't forget to keep an eye out and check back on what's going on over there. Other than that, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.